I'm going to cut right to the chase. You are going to make more money, like a lot more money, but your audience is going to pay 50% less. I know it sounds crazy, but hear me out. Hi, I'm Amy James, the co-inventor of Open Index Protocol. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button, and welcome back to the What Kind of Internet Do You Want series. Please give this video a like if you want to make more money as a content creator, and let's dive into it. In this video, we're going to discuss the secrets for surviving the collapse of the walled garden distribution model and how you can thrive in the decentralized blockchain future using Open Index Protocol. And if you're like, ugh, blockchain, what? No, I'm not technical, this isn't for me. Don't bail on this video yet, because you don't need to be technical at all to understand this, and it has huge ramifications for your business. Blockchain is going to impact all parts of the internet, and it's going to transform it for the better. As Patrick Byrne recently said, blockchain technology will fix the world, and that is because corruption ruins the world and blockchain defeats corruption. And this doesn't just apply to boring stuff like stocks and finances. It applies to how content creators will make money in the future. So what exactly is blockchain? Well, you've heard of that weird magic internet money called Bitcoin. Bitcoin is just the first proof of concept of blockchain technology to begin to reach mainstream adoption. Blockchain will sometimes also be referred to as cryptocurrency if you're specifically speaking about the tokens. A blockchain is simply a public, transparent ledger. Think about it like the card catalog in a library or maybe a phone book. A blockchain is a ledger of information, and the information it contains can be financial transactions, assets, data, really anything. And the ledger is transparent so that anyone can look at it, but it's also secure from alteration or destruction. You know, 5 to 10 years ago, it seemed like the internet was going to be this new era for content creators. Digital meant professional equipment and software was affordable enough to be widely accessible, and the internet meant being able to reach a larger audience than ever before. But now, content creators whose businesses depend on walled garden platforms are rightfully worried that they are going to be deboosted, demonetized, de-indexed, or deplatformed. We are on the precipice of completing a generational format shift, the kind that revolutionizes industries. Sheet music to recorded music, radio to physical media like records, tapes, and CDs. As I like to say, we are about to see some giant companies fall and the next legendary companies rise. We're completing the format shift from physical distribution to digital distribution. You know, it started with Napster, but it remains incomplete because when the web was developing in the early 90s, the technology didn't exist yet to build a unified index as an open protocol. Thanks to blockchain, it does now. So here are the 5 secrets to how blockchain is different and why that's good for your business. The first 2 that we're going to talk about are ways the blockchain can benefit your business and give you an edge right now. And the final 3 are benefits that will be unlocked as blockchain goes mainstream. So it's not immediate, but it's exciting to think about how much it will change things for the better and in the not too distant future. Number 1. I'm going to give you the biggest news first. You are going to make more money, like a lot more money. But your audience is going to pay 50% less. I know it sounds crazy, but hear me out. Blockchain changes the fundamental business model of the web. It lets us solve the walled garden problem with more freedom rather than less, and it incentivizes good behavior. Incentives influence outcomes, and right now, content creators have no control over their future. It's the equivalent of sharecropping. Their businesses depend on giant corporations with zero customer service. If you have a question or a problem about demonetization or copy strike, for instance, well, that's your problem. Using blockchain means that your payments can't be cut off by anyone. Neither platforms nor payment processors can stop your payments from getting to you because you are paid directly in cryptocurrency tokens. It's a push system, which is a stark contrast to the current pull system. Wait, push, pull, what does all this mean? Well, this is how it works. In the current content service, when you go to Facetube, the first thing you do is enter all of your personal and payment information. You set up an account, enter an address, credit card number, expiration date, even your security code. This is a pull system, and it means that you're required to divulge all of your personal information and trust a third party to pull the correct amount from your account. This pull system is almost a century old and has basically never been updated. When banking went online, it didn't update its fundamental infrastructure, it just made a web page. The actual transaction reconciliation process is still incredibly manual and onerous, which makes it expensive and slow. Generally, it costs 3%, takes 3 days to clear, and has a high fraud rate. The reason that this affects content creators is that it limits payment options. The high cost of overhead requires a high transaction fee, which translates into a minimum purchase price. This is why content distribution pricing is limited to the models of buying an individual item for about $1 or paying a monthly subscription for a limited library of content, or of course, advertising. Blockchain or cryptocurrency is a push system, like cash. Imagine paying for something in cash. You push it across the counter to the cashier. You don't also give them your address. That would be weird. Bitcoin is basically payment processing managed by open source math. It's such an advancement that industry experts have called it as big a deal as the invention of the internet itself. Bitcoin has opened the door to a whole new world of possibilities, but in terms of content distribution, the most important is the ability to send micropayments. Because of high transaction fees in the existing system, you generally can't sell something online for less than $1. So instead, some content creators use advertising to turn views into revenue. When you watch an ad on something like Facetube, it generates revenue for the content creator, at least in theory. It's arguably the most successful business model for monetizing content online, but with the rise of ad block software, it's now rapidly failing. All of this to say that by using blockchain for payments, Open Index Protocol offers brand new revenue channels and extremely customizable payment options. So, for example, if an artist wants to sell a song for some obscure price like 15 cents because it was inspired by their commute on Interstate 15, or give it away for free because it's their birthday or because it's Wednesday, or whatever they want, they can. Micropayments are a revolution for content creators who are stuck between selling their work for a minimum purchase price of $1 or accepting less than a penny per watch for ad-based revenue. Just imagine the unserved market that will benefit from being able to sell content at any price. Maybe it's a fraction of a penny for a cat video or 2 cents for an advice video. Creators can adjust their pricing based on what makes sense for the quality of their work and the community that they serve. And the data shows that audiences want to pay for content, and Patreon has proven this, but Patreon is still a walled garden with all of the same limitations. So Open Index Protocol lets you deliver content to your audience that can be accessed anywhere, and it can be shockingly affordably priced. We did some early testing with Rockstar Imogen Heap that helped us to demonstrate how creators can make a lot more money even as their audiences pay less. So she asked us to charge 1 penny per stream for her song. So we did some basic calculations, and at this price, when consuming the same amount of content as a typical user compared to services like Spotify and Apple Music, audiences would pay 50% less each month, and artists would earn 7 to 8 times what they currently do. Micropayments create an extraordinary opportunity for content creators to make a real living. Number 2, control your terms. Using Open Index Protocol, content creators have control over their terms. They can decide which platforms can use their content, what prices to charge, if other creators can sample their content in their videos, whether they want to incentivize influencers to share their content, kind of like the Amazon affiliates program. And these are just some examples. The terms can be anything the creator wants. They can use a template or write their own contract or bring an existing contract that they have with a company. And the creator or rights holder has sovereign control over their terms of use and distribution, because the content metadata is in the blockchain and the files are in a decentralized network. So censoring the content is functionally impossible, and the creator holds the cryptographic keys. What if you could edit together a video using wildly different pieces of content with varying terms of use, all while ensuring each of the different video terms would be respected, enforced, and paid correctly? One of our favorite things to dream about is how creators will use Open Index Protocol for iterative content. What if an album like Life After Death Star, or a short film like R-rated Home Alone, or Star Wars' Scene 38 Reimagined could be monetized legally? We've all seen memes be iterated upon to transform or improve them. Well, what if this was possible with all kinds of content? Number 3, it's going to make you and your audience safer. Using public-private key cryptography means 2 huge things for content creators. Whenever content is published to Open Index Protocol, the publisher has a time-stamped cryptographic signature of content ownership. Think of this like a much better version of mailing yourself something as a poor man's copyright. Did you guys ever do this? Did you ever send yourself something in the mail to prove that you made it? If you did, tell me about it in the comments below. I want to hear the story. With Open Index Protocol, creators can store metadata in a blockchain, which serves as a public ledger where it is transparently available and yet secure from alteration or destruction. So rather than relying on a postmark as a timestamp, they can use publicly verifiable cryptography. So as a result, creators don't need to worry about deepfake videos fooling their audience, because they won't be signed with the creator's private key that cryptographically verifies their identity. So your audience won't have to worry about getting scammed or you not receiving their payments correctly, because your identity and payment information is protected in the blockchain. Number 4, less risk of wasting time on a platform that doesn't work out. With Open Index Protocol, you only have to publish your content once, and any platform or application can display and sell it on your behalf. So because your data is logged in the blockchain, even if one platform decides to censor your content or a platform goes out of business entirely, well, you won't lose any time having to migrate content over to a new platform, and you won't lose any money if the business behaves in a shady way, because everything is transparently available and yet securely protected in the blockchain. And number 5, less administrative work. It's my favorite. We are in a time of transition now, so to reach the largest audience you can in this fractured walled garden market, you have to publish to multiple platforms. Publish all the things. It's exhausting. And maybe it's just because I feel about administrative work like Isadora Duncan did about filling out forms. My favorite story. She famously once wrote across the top of a grant proposal, "I do not make forms, I make dances." And same, Issa, same. The back-end administration of getting content out into the world and then tracking the many, many, many accounts that it's on to learn from analytics and track funds received is very near the top of my list of things that I hate doing about running a business. Once your audience has adopted OIP at scale, you'll only need to publish your content to the Open Index, not to every walled garden platform, because all of them will be referencing the Open Index instead of their platform's proprietary index. You become a sort of wholesaler of your own content, because it's not a violation of your copyright for platforms to sell content on your behalf, because it's still owned by you and the value still flows to you. And what's so great about this is that it means that you, as the content creator, can use whatever platform or application that you prefer to publish your content, and then your audience can each use whatever platform or application they prefer to access the content. Kind of like how you can go to a web page from many different kinds of web browsers. because it's all referencing the same record in the blockchain. Your audience can be sure that the content is authentic, and you can be sure that you're getting paid correctly, and you can incentivize platforms and influencers to even help you reach a wider audience. Essentially, it reduces your administrative work and it increases the ease with which your audience can access your content. It's better for everyone. We are at a tipping point when the format shift of physical distribution to digital distribution will be completed. It started 20 years ago with Napster, so like most significant format shifts, it's right on schedule. The automobile, for example, was invented in 1886, but it took more than 2 decades to be accepted because the entrenched horse and buggy industry was so powerful. And this was despite the huge public health and environmental issues caused by horse externalities. Shockingly, each day, more than 30 dead horses were cleared from the streets of New York City, and the Times of London predicted that the streets would be buried under 9 feet of manure within 50 years. A generation after the car was first invented, Ford introduced the Model T in 1908. And this allowed the car to go mainstream and the horse externalities problem disappeared. We're seeing a similar dynamic play out in today's content distribution market right now. My dad just watched the video where I asked who in the world still bought physical media anymore, and he said he was personally attacked by it because he did last week. Whereas we're internet kids, we grew up alongside it. Our generation has been downloading music on the internet since before it was legal. I mean, cool. On some level, even without understanding the technology behind all of it, we understand that something is going wrong with how content distribution works and it needs to change. The format shift hasn't been completed because there hasn't been an open specification that was capable and flexible enough to handle all of its needs. And so we're in a transitional time. The new generation will complete the format shift, and our kids won't be able to fully understand what life was like before digital content. If you know a content creator that's worried about the future of their business, take a screenshot and share it out with them to let them know that they can make more money with Open Index Protocol, and be sure to tag us at Open Index Proto. You can sign up for our newsletter at alexandria.io and follow us in the social platforms linked below. If you found this video valuable, please give it a like and make sure that you are a subscriber to the channel. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time.